Okay, so on page 84, we're still going to be graphing parabolas. Now, the thing is, I know that these graphs are parabolas because they're all x squared. Any x squared equation is going to give us a parabola. So for just a minute, let me back up. And what we did yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, is we did parabolas and they were x squared. The thing about these that the vertex was always right, up 5. The vertex was always on the y-axis, right? So these are going to be different because yesterday there was no middle term. But once you put a middle term in, the vertex tends to be in a different place, all right? So if you have a middle term with an x, the vertex is not. It is not going to be on the y-axis. In fact, it's hiding. Vertex is hiding. So we need a little formula. The little formula you want to write down is this. X equals negative b over 2a. Okay, I want you to write that. Okay? X equals negative b over 2a. I want everybody to write that down. X equals negative b over 2a. Okay, everybody write that down. Now that will be the x value of the vertex. Okay? So, let's go to part A, okay? So in question A, what we have is a 2, a negative 8. Our A is always the number with the x squared. Our B is always the number with the x. There is a C here, but the C would be 0, okay? So to use this formula, the A is always the number with the x squared, and the B is always the number with the x. So to find this formula, to find the vertex, we're going to go x is equal to negative b over 2a, which is a negative 8, right? B is a negative 8, and a is a 2. So we're going to go negative 8 over a 2 times a 2. Okay, I want you to see what I did. The formula is negative b, which is a negative 8. The formula is a negative b, so I put my negative 8 right there, over 2 times my b, which is 2. All right? So I put a negative 8, put the negative 8 right there, negative, and I put my 2 right there for the 8. Now if I simplify this, I get x is equal to 8 over 4, right? 8 over 4, so x is 2. So what I know is the vertex lies right along this line somewhere, okay? So my line of symmetry, the vertex is always on the line of symmetry. Has to be. Has to be. So my vertex is somewhere along this line of symmetry of x equals 2. Okay? Now, to find out exactly where it lays, we've got to plug that back in. So I'll back up. So you use this formula to find where the vertex is. Okay? The formula is negative b over 2a. You simply plug in the b value into here. You plug the a value. Here's the b value. Here's the a. I get a negative 8 over 2 times 2, which makes a 8 over 2, which is a 8 over 4, which is a 2. So the vertex lies somewhere along this line. Okay? So my line of symmetry is x equals 2. This is my line of symmetry. So to get its corresponding y value, I'm taking, I know you guys are tired, I'm going to plug in my x equals 2. So let's go to the original equation, which was my y equals my 2 times my x squared minus my 8 times my x. So I'm just going to take my original equation here, and I'm going to plug in, because I know that where the x lies, but I don't know exactly where, so I plug it in. So I'm going to put my 2 here, because that's where x is equal to 2. So we're doing two things. We're going to use our little formula, negative b over 2a. We're going to get the x value. Then we're going to plug it in. So when I plug it in, and you can use a calculator, but this is going to be, in fact, I don't mind a calculator at all. So if I do this in my calculator, I'll show you how easy it is. 2 parentheses, 2 squared minus 8 times, oops, doesn't matter. Come on, turn on for me. Ben, stop talking, please. 2 parentheses, 2 squared minus 8 times 2. Okay, so I'm just plugging in. Let the calculator do the work, right? Let the calculator do the work, and I get an answer of negative 8. So my vertex is equals y equals negative 8. So my vertex is at 2, negative 8. Okay, so I can graph that. Okay, So 2, and I go 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay? All right? And now if I want to sketch the graph, remember how we went 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, because 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 2, 3 squared is 9. Remember how we did that? Now we went by 2's, but I can still this. So I'm going to go over 1, up 1, right? For my vertex, I'm going to go over 1, up 1, because 1 squared is 1. Go back to my vertex. Over 2, 2 squared is 4. Go back to my vertex, right? Over 1, 2, 3. 3 squared is 9. I'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, okay? And we know that it is symmetrical, right? So what I graphed here is also over here, right? So I'm going to put another point here, here, and here. I'm just going to draw in my problem. Now this is a little bit new, and there's a few steps. So let me back up, and we're going to do it again. Let me back up, we're going to do it again, okay? Here's what we can do. First step, use this formula. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to do. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our negative b over 2a. And then I like to draw my line of symmetry because the vertex is going to lie on it. So that's the first thing I do. Then the second thing I do is I plug it in. That's the second thing I'm going to do. Okay, let's do it again. First step, I use my little formula. I've got this little mini formula, negative b over 2a. I find the x value, and then I plug it in to find the corresponding y value. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, next example. Here's A, B, and C, right? There's A, B, and C. So the first step, we're going to go x equals negative b over 2a. Negative b over 2. We're going to use this formula. So negative, and b is negative 8, so we're going to have a negative 8 again over 2 times a, which is 2. Okay? All right? Which that simplifies to a 8 over 4, but that's just 2. X equals 2. So this vertex also lies on this line, doesn't it? So my line of symmetry, I'm going to draw that in at x equals 2. I know my vertex is on this line somewhere. Okay? I know my vertex is somewhere on this line. So I know it's on the line of symmetry of x equals 2. But where? Well, second step, plug it in. Okay? Second step, plug it in. So we're going to take our y equals 2 minus 8 plus 6. Okay? So we're going to plug it in. We're going to take my 2. I'm going to plug it in for x. Alright, so we plug it in for x. Okay? This is a little bit harder than yesterday, isn't it? But we can do it. So, again, we could do it by hand, or I like to use the calculator. It's not that I'm lazy. Well, maybe I'm a little lazy. But I know the calculator is going to do it right for me, correct? So if I take my calculator and I go 2 parentheses 2 squared minus 8 parentheses 2 plus 6, right? I get an answer of negative 2, okay? So this vertex is in a slightly different place, y equals negative 2. So my vertex is going to be xy, right? I know my x value is 2, and my y value is negative 2, okay? So let's graph it, okay? So if my vertex is at 2, negative 2, I'm going to go over to 2, negative 2. There's my vertex, okay? Everybody got that? So there's my vertex. And then in order to graph this, again, we're going to do our 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, because 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, and 3 squared is 9. So from my vertex, I'm going to go over 1, up 1. Now it went by 2, so you have to see it, right? I'm going to go over 2. 2 squared is 4, so there's 2, 4. Go back to your vertex over 1, 2, 3, because I'm going by 2s. 3 squared is 9, so I'll go 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I know that I have points on the other side of the line of symmetry. So I'll have another point here, here, and here. I'm just going to draw in my parabola. Okay? So, one more time. Let's make some notes down here, okay? Here's my notes. First of all, so it's 2 steps, right? 2 steps. Write this down. Yes, Tim.
Wouldn't it be steeper since it's 2x squared?
Oh, I did make a mistake. Thank you.
I was checking that because on the other one.
I did. I made a mistake. Okay, I'll fix it. Thank you, Tim. I do have a 2 on both of them. Darn it. That is twice as steep. Darn it. I need to wake up, huh? I'm even recording and I made a mistake. Doggone it. It really is twice as tall. It's going to be like this, isn't it? Thanks, Tim. Glad somebody found my dumb mistake. It is twice tall. Let me do another one and I will fix what I did, okay? Thank you. Should have started with an easy one. Okay, 2 steps. Let's go back to it. You are totally right. Thank you. First step, right? 2 steps to find a vertex. Let's write this down, okay? First step, okay? We're going to use x equals negative b over 2a, right? That's the first step. 2 steps to find a vertex. First step, we're going to use x equals negative b over 2a, and then we're going to draw the line of symmetry. Doggone it, Tim. Thank you. I got to wake up. That's, good golly, that's such an obvious thing. Second step. Plug that answer into the equation to find y. Okay, write those things down. 2 steps, right? 2 steps. First step, use the negative b over 2a, and then draw in your line of symmetry. Second step, plug that answer in to the equation to find y, okay? Write that down. 2 steps. Step 1, to find a vertex, first, use the x equals negative b over 2a. Draw the line of symmetry. Second step, plug that answer into your equation to get the corresponding y value, okay? All right? And then we'll turn to page 86 and we'll take a look what they have, okay? Ben? Not right now, I'm teaching. Okay, all right? Okay, so shift it to page 86 and there it is. There's your axis of symmetry, negative b over 2a, right? The x-coordinate, okay? And there's one other thing that we know, okay? I want to talk about this very briefly, okay? Now, we know that the y-intercept is always going to be this value. That is the y-intercept. And if we get the y-intercept, then it gives us one more point that we don't even have to find. We can just graph. This will always be the y-intercept. We put that down, boom, on the y-axis, and that's one more point. In fact, if you reflect it, that's 2 more points, right? So if we can get a vertex, so instead of having to do our 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, check it out. I'm going to teach this. If we can get the y-intercept, boom, you actually have another point because we can reflect that. So there's 2 points, right? And then we get the vertex, we can just draw in the parabola. Okay, let's do that, okay? Let's move to example 1, okay? Extra practice. Go to example 1, okay? So, here we go. Find the axis of symmetry and the vertex of the graph. Let's do that, okay? So first of all, right off the bat, before we do anything, they don't ask for this, but I already know, and I'm going to put it up above. I already know on this graph on number 1, I already know that the y-intercept is at 0, 2. Boom. Right? I already know the y-intercept is 0, 2. So when I graph it, I can just go up 1, 2, boom, put a dot. Okay?
Wait, how do you know that?
Yeah, well, if x is 0, plug 0 in, what do you get?
Well, how do you know x is 0?
Well, the y-intercept x is always 0 on the y-axis. Isn't it? Think about graphing. Isn't x always 0 on the y-axis?
Then not the vertex is.
No, the y-intercept. Okay, now let's find the vertex. Let's find the vertex. So first of all,
Yes, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, that confused me for a second.
so vertex, let's use our formula. Let's use our negative b over 2a, okay? So I'm going to go, and I'm going to take a negative 10 over 2 times 1. There's a 1 right here, but I normally don't write it, right? Okay, so I'm going to use my little formula. This is a little mini formula that we learned today. Okay, and so I'm going to get a 10 over 2, right? Positive 10 over 2, which is 5. So here's what I know. I know that the vertex lies right along 5. So my axis is symmetry. So my axis of symmetry is equal to x equals 5, okay? My axis of symmetry, x equals 5. So if I'm going to graph it, I'm going to go right along 5 and do my line of symmetry, and I know my vertex is somewhere on that line, okay? Now, let's plug it in, okay? So then we're going to plug it in. I'm going to go, so second, let's go y equals, all right, x squared minus 10 times x plus 2. So I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to take my 5. Oops, scoot over. There we go. I take my 5. I'm going to plug it in for x. Okay. Put my 5 and put it in for x. That's why I did this. Okay. I'm going to plug it in for x. So I'm going to put my 5 right there. Right. And it'd be 25 minus 50 plus 2, which we could do, but why not let the calculator do it for us, right? We could. So let's just plug it, okay? So if I do that, I'm going to go clear. I'm going to go on, clear. I'm going to go parentheses 5 squared minus 10 times 5 plus 2. I'm going to get negative 23, okay? Y equals negative 23. So I know that my line of symmetry is x equals 5, and I know my vertex is at 5, negative 23. Okay? Let's do another one of these. Okay, so you get familiar with it, okay? 2 steps. One more time. I'm going to be redundant because it's how I teach. 2 steps. First, use negative b over 2a. First, use negative b over 2a. Second, plug it in. Okay? Does that make sense? 2 steps. Use your negative b over 2a. Second step, plug it in. Okay? Let's do that. Okay? Turn the page. Let's turn the page. Okay? All right? So let's do number 5. Let's do number 5. Okay? So right off the bat, I already know one thing. I know the y-intercept. Okay? You can't see. Sorry, guys. Thank you. I already know, before I do anything on 5, I already know my y-intercept. My y-intercept is at 0, 2. All right? My y-intercept is 0, 2. It's the number by itself. And the reason that works is because Ben asked a really good question. If x is 0, you wind up with 2, right? If x is 0, you wind up with 2. Everybody agree with that? So now, let's find the vertex, okay? And I'll work down here because I need room. We'll just scratch that out. So, my vertex, first of all, x equals negative b over 2a, right? 2 steps. First, negative b over 2a, okay? All right. I can do this. So I'm going to have x equals negative 6, right? I'm going to have doing this all down here, I'm going to have a negative 6 over 2 times 3, okay? Which is a negative 6 over 6, which is a negative 1, okay? So far, so good? So, I know my line of symmetry is at negative 1, okay? All right, let me go ahead and try and put a little graph in here. All right, try and put a little graph. I don't know, good. All right. So I know my line of symmetry is at negative 1, so I'm just going to go dot, 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 right? Negative 1, okay? I also know another point. Watch this. Guys, are you paying attention? Watch. I'm going to put a point right here. I'm going to put a point right there. I'm going to put a point right there. Do you see the point? Seth, you paying attention? Okay, Spencer? I'm going to put that point right there, okay? Now I can put another point right there, huh? Right? I can put another point right there, right? Because it can reflect across my line of symmetry. Now the last thing I have to do, 2 steps, right? Negative b over 2a, I did. And then let's plug it in, okay? So we're going to plug that in. So we're going to go y equals, again, I'm doing this one up here. Y equals a 3 times x squared plus a 6 times x plus 2. I'm going to plug it in. So I'm going to plug my negative 1 in for x, right? So I'm plugging my negative 1 in for x. My negative 1 goes in for the x value. And again, I could do it by hand, but shoot, I'll just use a calculator because I tend to make mistakes, don't I? Right, Tim? So I'm not going to make a mistake. I'm going to let my calculator do the work for me. So I'm going to go my 3 parentheses negative 1 squared plus 6 parentheses negative 1 plus 2, and I get an answer of negative 1, okay? So I get an answer of negative 1, okay? So I got y equals negative 1. So my vertex is going to be at negative 1, negative 1. Okay? Now, it's right there. And I did go 1, 3. So now here's the key. You got 3 points. That's enough if you remember, what does it look like? What's the shape of the parabola? It's curvy. It's not a V, right? Doesn't it curve? So if you got 3 points, you just have to sketch it in. Okay, just try and sketch it in. We know it's curvy, right? Don't make it look like a V. I got my 3 points. We'll say, okay, let's see how good I can curve this in. Does that look a little curvy? Got a little curvature on the bottom? That look nice? Yeah. Okay, not bad? All right, I'm going to do the story problem on 14, and then I'm going to call her good, okay? How am I doing? Thumbs up? Okay. All right. Now number 14. Here we go. And you'll have a problem like this on your quiz. You will. Okay, number 14. The function h equals negative 16t squared plus 250t represents the height in feet of a rocket. So we send a rocket up. Psh. The rocket explodes at its highest point, okay? When does the rocket explode? So let's, before you do anything, let's draw a picture, okay? Let's just draw a picture. I'm going to draw a picture over here. All right, the rocket's going to go up, hit the ground, right? Boom. You guys got it, right? You with me? So the highest point is here, right? There's my rocket. That's the highest point. And that would have to be the vertex, wouldn't it? That'd have to be the vertex, right? Okay, well, we know how to find the vertex. 2 steps. 2 steps. 1, use the negative b over 2a. So, first, let's go t, not x, but t for time, right? Negative b over 2a, right? We're going to use our negative b over 2a. So I'm going to go a negative 250 over 2 times negative 16, okay? So I'm going to put my negative 250 in for b, and my negative 16 for a. Okay, that's the same thing as negative 250 divided by negative 32, and let's use a calculator, right? Okay, so let's figure that out. Okay, 250 divided by 32, and I get an answer of about 7.8. Okay, about 7.8 seconds. Boy, that rocket goes pretty high then.
Can you go over the...
Yeah, I sure can. Yeah, that rocket, I mean, 7.5, almost 8 seconds, that thing's traveling up there, isn't it? That's a long time. This rocket's soaring, right? So how high does it actually go? So how do we find the height? We plug it in, right? So let's plug it in. So I'm going to have my h equals my negative 16, whatever squared, plus 250, right? So I'm going to take my 7.8. I'll plug it in. Okay, I'm going to plug it in. So let's put a 7.8 here and a 7.8 here. And I'm, again, definitely going to use my calculator. You guys agree? These are bad numbers, okay? So let's go straight to my calculator. I'm going to go negative 16 times my 7.8 squared plus 250 times my 7.8. and I get 976.56 feet, or we'll go say 976.5 feet. Okay, so it's about 976.5 feet. Okay? And you will have a problem like this on your quiz. I promise, okay? It's a good problem. You will. It's a good problem, isn't it? It's not hard.